Okay, I see some people are on, so good morning, everyone. Just give me a minute or two. I am actually streaming with a different program than my OBS where you can see how it kind of will stop every once in a while. So I thought this morning would be a good time, since I'm pretty much to the end, just make sure that my new one is going to be working fine. And so far, so good. I use it for Zoom all the time. I have no problems. I was having some issue using it with um, YouTube. It's early. It kept saying that my kilobytes per second, which means nothing to everybody, would be low, but my stream looks excellent. So I will be right back, and then it's 8:49, so we'll get started in a few minutes. All right, I think I'm all set up. Let's see. Okay, I think we're good. I was pretty happy with where I ended up yesterday. I will show you again. It's turning out just lovely. I feel like I have lots of glow around that smaller blossom. A couple things I'm not happy about, and I'll switch down here for a minute. Are the shadows in this area. I think what I'm going to do, so I'm going to show you a little trick for this. I am going to widen this fold. So I'm going to pull it all the way out here so it really looks like that petal is folding over. I just don't like that thin fold right there. And I definitely I want to soften this up. I don't feel like I need that harsh edge. The whole thing just looks a little weird. And of course, got to come over to this and then get a little bit done in there and work down in that area. And then I feel like I can move on to all of the details. So I'm pretty excited about that. So if anybody has any questions before we get started, just let me know. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Oh, and I might add, and I'll mention this again, Shannon's not going to be here with us this morning. So that's okay. I will try to answer questions as we're going along. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some tape. Oh, and I guess I should have said good morning for anybody that's watching. And if you didn't hear me say this before, I'm not happy. That just looks weird. This whole petal just looks weird. So I think, actually, let me grab my mechanical pencil. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. So you can kind of see that line that I've drawn. It just really, that just looks weird. I just don't like that. So I want to take that out. And so I'm going to scrub it out, but I want a nice solid line when I scrub it out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to darken it a little bit. You can already see, hopefully, that I think that's going to look much better. All right, let's see. Let me move one little thing around here. Just give me a second. Now that I'm streaming through a different program, I'm kind of setting things up a little bit differently. So I'm pressing that tape down pretty good. I'm going to get another piece. Do I need another piece? No, I don't need another piece. Okay, now I'm going to get my X-Acto knife. This blade is pretty dull. You can use a sharp blade. Just make sure that you don't press down into the paper. I am just pressing through the tape. Try to think about, well, what side do I need to take off? Okay, we come up here. Okay, let's see how well I did. Ah, pretty good. Look at that. Oh, I missed a little bit right there. Trying not to cut into the paper. Let me turn this to the side. There we go. Ah, that looks terrible. I completely missed. Okay, I completely missed that edge. Oops, and I'll lift up some of that tape. Let me try that again. I'm gonna have to hold this at an angle so I can see. I just can't see well enough through there. And I don't want to make that line too dark. You know what? That's okay. here's what I'm going to do. I'm problem solving as I'm doing this because I just thought carefully about this. I'm going to darken this line so that I can see through the tape. And then as I cut, and you can see I pulled up a little bit of paper right there. I'm not too worried about that. I'll fix that in a sec. I'm just going to make sure that I cut. Now I can see that line a little bit better. And I'm going to make sure I cut that tape. Let me see if I can cut this way. You know, probably what would have been easier. And I don't, maybe it's just because it's morning. I should have put the tape down and then just drawn that line right on the tape. Okay. I get one dumb moment this morning. That was my dumb moment, everybody. Okay, let's stop for a sec. Jeannie, good morning. Do you usually paint over the watermarks on the Arches paper or do you cut them off? You know, it's so annoying that they put those marks there. I could be wrong, but it kind of seems like 20 years ago, they weren't putting as many marks on the paper as they are now. Like now, they're putting them in all four corners of the paper. And it's like, really, now you're not letting me, you know, have room to tape off. And I feel like it does affect it a little bit. Honestly, I don't worry about it. I just paint right over. If it does, I try to avoid it when I'm cutting my paper. I do try to stop. You know, I'll like make sure that that's going to be the area. If say that's where the watermark is, I try to make sure that when I start painting, it's to this side and that's the part that I tape. I don't over worry that, but yeah, that really is annoying. I mean, we know what paper your brand is. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. And again, if anybody was just watching as I was starting, I did not like that little thin line. It just, you know, I'm looking at the image even and it just looks awful. So I'm just gonna add a lot of water. I press down really hard right there so I can make sure. And see how the line is erasing? I don't know what was wrong with me this morning. Maybe it was just getting started. Duh. Just put the tape down and then draw where you want your line to go. Okay. See how I'm just softly. Okay, this is a number 6, the Dick Blick Wonder Whites. And if I don't have it in the description, it is definitely in the downloads. The only place I can find these is from Dick Blick, and that's because it's their brand. I have tried, I'm not going to say hundreds, but I've probably tried 15 to 20 different scrubber brushes, and these are the ones I like the best. See how it's just firm enough, but not too firm. It has a nice rounded side so that it doesn't leave a sharp mark. And so when I hold it straight up and down, it makes beautiful glowing highlights in my backgrounds. And yes, can you see I'm picking up a little bit of paper? So here's another reason why I don't paint on 140 pound. It is so hard to scrub things out. It is just difficult. While I'm here, while I am in this area, I'm kind of softening that edge also. Almost there. Almost all that shadow is lifted up. Going right along that edge, just softening that edge a little bit. And right up. Now I'm going to switch to a smaller one. I'm going to switch to my number 2. And Dick Blick sells these in a set. I think it's 2, a number 2, a number 6, and a number 12. If you try this on cheap paper, or you try to scrub out on 140 pound, it just tears the paper up. See how nice? See how nice my paper looks? Oh, let's get that into focus there. Let's back out a little bit. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Going right along that edge, trying to get as much of that pencil mark up as I can. See how I just keep scrubbing and I'm just brushing away the paper I'm lifting off. And I think we're good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to dry this. Oh my gosh, I'm so much happier with using, going back to Minicam instead of the other program I was using, because I've noticed that it's not glitching as much, or at all, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I just want to get that area dry. And then I'll show you another trick. Let's see, since Shannon's not here, I think I mentioned that. Jojo, hi Debbie, catch up later. Your son is not, oh, you must have a little one around. Whew. I don't miss those days. Shannon's here, hi Shannon. Yay. Okay, that's pretty dry. So now I'm going to pull that tape back up. Here's a little trick. When you're pulling tape off of your border, off of anything in the middle, if you do use it, hold it down, kind of at a 45-degree angle, and pull, and it spreads out the, I don't know how else to refer this except for maybe the tape load. If you pull straight up, the fibers tend to want to pull up. So see how I'm just kind of pulling to the side? Nice and smooth. Okay, now here's my next trick. And some of you have probably already seen me do this. So I have just a little plastic spoon. You know, I've tried metal, and metal will leave a mark. So don't, unless you have, you know, maybe I don't know if it's the newer spoons, I don't know, but I don't use metal. So see what I'm doing? I'm just burnishing everything back down. And look at that. Now when I feel the surface, it feels nice and smooth. So that means I've burnished all of those fibers that I kind of was messing around. Okay, nice. All right, so I'm going to put that spoon to the side, and see my little boo-boo right there? Because I don't know what happened. Again, that was my biggest dumb mistake. I should have put the tape down and then drawn on top of the tape. What was I thinking? Okay, so now I have to kind of get... I have to get rid of that little line. Oh my goodness. See, look at how dark that is. Okay. So I'm just going to lift it. Just going to scrub it now on this side. So because I wasn't thinking clearly, I now have to fix this problem. So hopefully, other than my mistake, that looks a little bit better. That doesn't, you know, that curve, it just looks, I think it looks better. Now what I'm doing is I'm subtly just kind of blending this out with the scrubber brush. I'm actually going to use my bigger scrubber brush because I don't like that shadow all the way up there, to be honest. So I'm taking it out. Oh my gosh, I think it looks a lot better. Much better. So I'm just going to keep scrubbing till I get it just where I want it. Gosh, I love scrubber brushes. They are just a lifesaver. It's like a paintbrush plus. So I'm going to turn it to the side and kind of look at it. Now I want, oh, let's see. Let me turn my light down a little bit. There we go. Now it's, I wish you could see that I've got it back to the original texture of the paper, and you would never be able to tell that I was scrubbing there. Once I used my plastic spoon and pushed all those fibers back down. And I'm going to actually soften it right along this edge and this edge. I decided I don't really like that hard edge so much. Go down here and add some water and blend out my little mistake. I'm looking at what Shannon is saying, and hopefully no one else was having trouble opening up the little chat. I was playing around last night and I learned a whole bunch of things. Like, it's amazing what happens when you just start clicking on stuff and opening. And I realized I can add monitors, people to help, like Shannon, like wonderful Shannon. And I can block, you know, those, if anybody knows, we had a few crazy websites that were, you know, spammers. And so I was able to go in and see, aha, they actually did block. And it shows up, so now I know what things are blocked and what isn't. So that was kind of nice. You know, as I'm kind of fixing this petal, this is going to happen to you at some point. It happens to me in almost every painting where I say, oh my gosh, this is not what I wanted it to be. How am I going to fix this? My lines aren't straight. This petal looks weird. This branch looks weird. Something is going to go wrong when you're painting. And I've tried over the years to look at that as a learning experience and not so much as a freak out and rip your painting up and throw it away, which I'm perfectly willing to admit I had done that a couple of times. Till I realized one day that it's just paper. You know, we seem to have no problems buying, you know, 2 or 3 coffees from Starbucks every month, and that, you know, runs us $50, but heaven forbid you you mess up a $10 sheet of paper. So, I don't know, sometimes I think it's all just perspective. So I'm solving a major problem right now. That's how I started this morning, having a problem, and first thing right off the bat. So honestly, just like I was just saying, it's all perspective. And that really is true. It's just keeping things in perspective. I don't know how much money, and I'm not going to say waste, but we have Dutch Brothers here in Arizona, and it's our favorite coffee place. And for me, it's always the little things, you know? It's the little things I get excited about, going and getting a coffee or waking up in the morning and having coffee. And so I don't look at it as a waste. If I go to the coffee shop, I'm spending $50 a month. So I look at it as if I really have to start over on a painting, it is just a piece of paper. I can always flip it over. And if you go on, say Arches, however you want to pronounce that, if you go on their website, they will tell you, you can use the other side of the paper. I actually take the paper, and let me show you one piece of scrap. I'll take the paper and I'll look at it against the light, and then I'll flip it over to the other side. See, and there's the Arches little imprint. So I don't pay attention to the front part where their name is stamped. I flip it over back and forth, and I see which texture I like the best. Sometimes the back side is smoother than the front side. So if you mess a painting up, you can always flip the paper over. So I just wanted to fix that little edge right there on this petal. Looks a little bit better. It looks a little softer. And again, I'll be doing up here what I did right down there and softening those edges. You can see how nice now that yellow and red's looking. Okay. Let's hit a little bit more with the blow dryer. See, and look right there. That just has to be, that's got to be fixed. That looks awful. So I definitely have some cleaning up to do. Okay, that feels pretty dry. And I think what I'm going to do is let that cool off, and I'll go over here and let's add some blues over in that area. And I'm going to get my number 6. And this time I'm going to wet the whole thing. Even over that line. Isn't it funny how you can do something you're so happy with it. You're like, wow, look what I just did. And you get all excited. And then the next thing you do is something like that. I know I've said this over and over again, but if you go to an art show or you go onto a website, an artist website, and I also have a painting website, you know, it's not like an artist is ever going to show their worst paintings. It's not like at an art show you're going to hang your mistakes. Nobody's ever going to see your mistakes. They don't want you to. I like you seeing my mistakes. Then my hope is you won't give up and you'll keep trying. I actually threw away some of my first paintings. Why did I do that? I wish I hadn't, because then you could have seen how bad some of them were. So always keep that in mind. Try not to compare yourself to other people, because you're not going to see their mistakes. Okay, let's go ahead. Put some rag or some paper towels down. I'm so bad about that. I always forget, and then I leave a big blotch, and then I have to fix it. Okay, so let's add some water here in the center. Hopefully you could see how all those colors start blending together. Like when it dried, you could see how everything kind of separated and settled. I need, let's put a little bit more blue in here. Add a lot of water in there. That's actually kind of pretty in itself. A little bit more water. Just moving it around with my brush. Now I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. I'm going to go with a smaller brush. I'm going to use my number 4. See how my line is staying? It's not disturbing it. I'm just lightly going over it. But with that staining rose, it's kind of staying, it's staying there. I want to pick up a little bit of yellow. Just want to move it around. Now maybe a little bit more. That blue-gray that I just made. I'm going to try to pull this color over to that corner right in there. Now I'm going to give it a sec. Maybe a little bit more. Now I'm going to give it a minute. I'm going to let it really let the water kind of sink in. And I'm going to go with a number 2, but I'm watching. It's still too glossy. See how, let's see. See how wet it is still? I want this to dull down a little bit, and I'm gonna get color, and I'm going to wick. I'm gonna wick it off my brush, and then I'm gonna try to get as close to that shadow edge as I can and let it just have a nice soft edge instead of a hard edge. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea and I'm gonna wait. Yay, Shannon! It drew my eye right over to your comment. Does this tag help you see my comments? Yes! Thank you. That does help. Another thing I learned is I can break out the chat, and so I can have it right next to the image as I'm looking at it to paint from, so then I can just glance over and I see it. So thank you, Shannon. That's a big help. Thank you, honestly, everybody. Thank you for being patient with me while I am not only teaching you how to paint, but I am learning how to be more effective with YouTube and my programs and making them the best they can be. You know, if I had a giant production company, I wouldn't be worrying about all this, but I have to do it myself and I have to learn it. So, gosh, everybody has been so kind about that. A million thank yous to everybody. Like, now that I know my mini cam is working well, as soon as I'm done with the stream, I'm gonna upgrade, and it's gonna be fun because at the same time I can stream to YouTube, I can stream to Instagram, and I can stream to Facebook. And that way you can watch it from any one of those three, and all the comments will go right through, and I'll see everybody's comments no matter where you're from. I am so excited about that. Had I have had a production company, I maybe would have known that earlier. But you know, technology, it's a little scary. You're always afraid the wrong click and you're just going to completely mess up. So, yeah, I'm excited every time I learn something new, and I'm just going to test this. So thank you. Seriously, a big thank you to everybody who's been so patient with me. It's getting there. You can see how the sheen, it's still there. And isn't it interesting? It's lasting a lot longer today than it was yesterday because it's been raining on and off this morning and everything's kind of damp and cold. So down here along that edge, I think I can go ahead and start. So I am, ooh, you know what? Let's add a little red to that because it's a little bit more red down in that area. So blotting my brush. I'd rather have too little than too much. Let's see what happens when I go right along that edge. Okay, now see what I'm doing? Again, just like yesterday, and I need more red. Instead of taking my brush and coming this direction, I'm pushing that water away from the edge. I'm trying to say, water, please don't go down into that area. Please stay up in this area. And again, I'm just blotting just a little bit. And can you see, as this shadow comes up, really, really pay attention to that shadow. There's a lot more blue in that shadow. So I just picked up an area of the color that I had mixed. That was a little more blue. See how I almost dropped? I almost dropped that color right there and it would have made a big circle. So So I'm picking up just a little bit more, blotting. You know, just noticed the shadow actually comes right down into this area, doesn't it? And right down into here. So I'm going to very lightly add some water. And then I'm going to pick up some of that shadow color. And then there's a little bit more yellow in the shadow. So again, just, whoa. Yeah, overdid it a little bit with that yellow. So I'm just going to soften that out, damp brush. I'm trying with my brush and the amount of water that's in my brush, I'm trying to match the paper. See how you can barely see any shine on the paper now. There's a little tiny bit. So I'm trying to match on my brush the same amount of water that I feel like is in this area right here. So now I think I need to add just a little bit more. See how it's just doing some nice soft blends. Now I want some more of that blue, and I'm going to actually pick up red. I'm going to blot it. You know, it should be a little bit darker. But I'm going to leave that for now and I'll come back to it. I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. I'm not going to worry about drying it. I'm just going to come down and now start filling in some areas where while I'm letting some other areas dry. So let's zoom in. No water. I'm going to go with my zero. I'm switching to my zero brush. I'm going to pick up some red. Just drop it right towards the top. And then there seems to be a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue I see in the bottom part. Maybe more red. Maybe a little bit of blue so I can darken the value right in that corner. I'll put some red over that. One of the reasons why I started painting so early this morning is because I've got to go to my eye doctor and have my eye checked. So that means they're going to dilate my eyes. And if any of you have ever had your eyes dilated, you know what that means. Okay, no water. It's awful. I have to do it at about 3, and that means my eyes are shot for the rest of the day. I'm going to add just a little bit of that violet that I made right there, just to tone that down a bit. And now I'm going to go to a bigger brush. I'm going to go to my number 2, and I'm really going to get it wet with a lot of water. And I'm going to pick up some blue, maybe a little bit of the shadow blue. And then I'm going to dip my brush back into water. I think I'll turn that little dot right there. I think I'll turn that into a little blemish. Okay, maybe a little bit more of that blue. A little bit of yellow right towards the center. More blue. Maybe some of the shadow. Maybe a little bit more blue. It's getting lighter. Let me turn down. There we go. Had to turn the light down. Okay. I didn't feel like there was enough shadow right against that edge. And obviously you can see now that all that's drying, it's making a very lovely soft shadow, but I really want to get, ooh. Okay, you didn't see that. I want to get this nice edge from that petal. So let me back out a little bit. Aha, let's see. I have too much light going on. There we go. Let's turn that down. Actually, let's turn that one off. Much better. Now I can zoom out. All right, hopefully you can see that I think it's gonna look better once. I'm just gonna make some shadow definition right down here, and I'm gonna let it go ahead and just lightly along this area. But now that it's dry, so remember when I first did it, I scrubbed it, I had the tape, and then I pressed down with the spoon, okay? So now that it's really dry, then I went back and, or once it was really dry. Then I went back and I scrubbed some more. So now I'm going to take my plastic brush and I'm pressing down. Because I want to push all those fibers back down. And then when I go over it with my finger, I can say, aha, yep. All those fibers are pushed back down. Everything feels nice and smooth. And I don't feel any fibers. Okay, done with that. So far, so good. So once I fix that and fix that little area, that's going to look much better. Just need to get a little bit more in that petal. And we definitely need more blue and yellow there. So let me dry this just a little bit. Oops. Okay, I feel like it's dry enough right there. Because if you remember when I first did that and I put the water on and then I was waiting so I could add more color there, that part was already getting dry. So I feel like it's dry enough. So I'm gonna wet it. Let me zoom back in. While I'm waiting for that water to sink in, here's what I'm going to do. Right along the two edges, I'm just taking that brush and I'm softening that edge so it doesn't look cut out. See what a difference that made? Wasn't too much, it's just a little bit, and even all the way up into here. I'm going to turn it a little bit. I'm going to rinse my brush. This is what's great about when you get those nice dark values built up. Now, as that color kind of is sitting on the top of the paper, you can use it. You can pick some of it up and allow it to blend in to the bottom of other areas, and voila! You have this gorgeous little area. Nice. You can tell that the petal's forward, yet the edge is just blended in just a perfect amount. See, same along here, right there. And right along here. I still want a line, but I don't want it to look like scissors cut it out. This is really important. Details make the difference. Now when you look at that edge, it all looks uniform, cohesive, and it's unified with that bottom area, even though I don't quite have that dark enough yet. So that water's sunken in pretty good. So I'm gonna pick up some yellow. Add some more yellow right in the middle of it. And now I'm going to pick up some blue. Just going to kind of move it around. And then when I get that area a little bit darker, I'll help. That whole bottom there obviously has got to be dark. And once we get that, then that bottom area too is just really going to come forward. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of red right over here. A little bit more blue. Okay, now I'll leave that alone. And let's get this petal fixed. All right, I'm gonna turn it. And let me rotate my image. Here we go. Nope. There we go. Give me a sec here. There we go. I had to adjust the exposure from this morning because there was just no light, but now it's getting lighter, so that looks a little bit better. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do first is I am going to, with my 0, let's soften this edge. I'm going to pick up some pretty dry red here, fix this little area, maybe a little bit of that gray color. Maybe a little bit more. That already looks better. Okay, so now I really need to fix that top there. So I am going to use my number 2 scrubber brush. I'm going to put that down. What am I going to do? Okay. I don't know how I don't know how I did it, but I just misplaced my 0. What in the world did I do with that? Well, I'll just use my number 2. Okay, so let's get this little area in here now. Let's get, hold on. There we go. I needed a little bit more light than that. So I'm going to come over in here, dry paper. It's such a small area, and now I'm going to come pick up some of that blue. It's very watery. And at that point, it's meeting up right there with that edge, so I'm softening that even more. I'm going to pick up more blue. Move that up a little bit. Now I'm going to take some red. I just looked up and saw Shannon's comment about how I never, somehow all those years, I never related what CC and CCW meant for turning an image. What's nice though, is I don't have to think about that with my Minicam that I use. That's what's really nice, is it's all visual. A little bit of red, a little bit of blue, a little bit more red. And more yellow. Now I'm going to let that dry. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of that shadow and I'm going to bring it down just a tiny bit to the very white part of that petal. Maybe more. Okay, now I'm going to turn it again. And I'm going to zoom out. We're going to see how that's developing. I think it needs a little bit more blue. That's better. Okay. Ooh, and then that's going to be fun. I get to paint the little cutout where it looks like maybe something chewed that edge. So far, so good. Let's add a little bit of red right there. Let's let that dry. Let me hit everything with a blow dryer. Okay, give me a sec here. I need to get a new zero. Somewhere, one of my brushes has rolled and I cannot find it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a new one. Isn't that amazing how that happens? I just don't know sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to turn this again. Let's just go ahead and keep working over here. Going to fix this edge. Let me get my scrubber again. Smaller one. Already looking better. Oh, that looks so much better. Let's fix this. switch back to a brush. Oh gosh, so much better. Okay, let's see. Hair dryer, quickly. Let me adjust that exposure a little bit more. There we go. Let's turn this. No, I'm gonna keep it this way. Let's get this little area done, and then I can go back and fix that shadow a bit. I'm gonna pick up some red. Let's come into here a little bit. I made my brush. My brush is clean with some water on it. I'm just kind of pulling that red out a little bit into this area. I'm just going to soften it. And I'm going to add a little tiny bit right in this area. Now what I'm going to do on that shadow is I'm going to take some of that yellow and go right along the edge. Some more right into that area. And I'm going to fix that shadow just a bit. Touch it. I'm just touching it up. And I'm going to do the same thing. So this is all dry. Just going back and forth between the yellow and the blue and the red. I lost that nice highlight right there, but that's okay. I'm just trying to blend it again a little bit more. So I've got that yellow blending right in with that edge. And then maybe a little bit more of that red. Maybe not so much. Now I'm going to come back over to that little spot. So what I need to do is add in a little bit of that background right there. So it looks like part of that leaf is chewed. Now I'm going to use some yellow. It's right around the edge, just kind of blend it in a little bit. There we go. Not bad. Let's see, red. There, now that area is standing out a little bit more. Let's try this and get that fixed. And then I can leave this area alone. You know what? No, I can't. That is not that bright. So let me taking my number 2 and very, very, very kind of that yellowish gray right there. I'm going to start up at the top. I left a little area. Pick up some more because it seems to be, I want that shadow now that I'm really looking at it so that you can really see that highlight there. That's better. Toned that down a little bit. Back to the red, and then back to a little bit of yellow. All right, I think I'm done there. I'll let that dry. And now I can go ahead and let me add a little bit more color right in there. Let's fix the edge of this. The edge of that blossom. I'm just going to fix where that dark color is kind of coming up. Right underneath this beautiful front forward petal. Much better. Now I'm starting to see all the little details. Like I can go in here and just, if I can get enough color, there we go, and that'll dry and match and kind of blend in with that background. So far so good there. I've addressed the little hole. I love that. Let's soften that edge, that branch. Now let me work on this little spot just a little bit more. Look what I need to do. add in some, just a tiny bit pink right in that area. And then dipping my brush into water, and I'm creating that shadow edge. I'm adding some yellow. A little bit more shadow. A little bit of yellow right around the edge to kind of make that shadow glow. I think I need a little bit more yellow right in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it again. Let's zoom out. All right, I'm pretty happy with what's going on there now. I feel like we've pretty much got that done. Now for the test. I've smoothed everything out there. So here's what I'm gonna do. Get some clean, halfway clean paper towels. Make sure I don't drip anything there. Let's see. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I want this shadow to be a little bit more lively down in this area, but I still like that I don't have as much up there. So, and I'm feeling much better about that curve being a little bit bigger. So I'm going to take some yellow. See, went right over the area that I smushed down. Let me zoom in. And look at that, you can barely tell. Nothing weird, and that's because I used the spoon to smooth all the fibers. And really, I mean I was pressing down, I had both fingers and I was pushing hard into that paper. And basically when you feel it now, it's actually almost even smoother than the areas that I haven't scrubbed on. So I'm going with yellow again. And you know, the more I look at this, okay, because obviously I was feeling like this was a problem. You know what I think some of it was? Is that I don't think that there was enough yellow in there. I really don't. I think it needed some yellow. And look at that, it already looks better. Just, even with mixing those grays. Just kind of wasn't happy with how it was turning out. So now I'm going to come grab some red. Isn't that amazing what happens when you press that paper down? If I can do it, you can do it. There, see how I'm adding a little bit more color in there? So now my grays aren't so gray. They're toned down, and it is basically a gray, but at least it has some life in it. I got a little bit of bleed through right there. So I'm going to pick up even more blue. Okay, now let's back it out. See how it looks. Okay, well, it's much better. I'm not completely happy with it, and I think it's okay, but I really wish I hadn't have made that mistake, but so I'm just adding a little bit more red in there. I think it just needs it. Maybe that's all it kind of was. It's just it needed a little bit, just needed a little bit more life in there. Maybe a little bit more red. I think that was it. It's not perfect. That's okay. Hopefully you'll do better on yours. So now I can leave that alone. I'm going to take my number 2 and I'm going to come back dry onto this area. What I'm going to do, and I've just got a water, you can see down here, it's just very watery. I'm not wicking my brush. I'm just going to start at the top and kind of swipe down. Now I'm rinsing my brush. There we go. Rinsed my brush. I wicked it. Went right down, and I feel like that worked. I feel like right in there I need a little bit more yellow. So again, dry. Now I think I'm going to take a little bit of that gray, pick up a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to do the same thing right up here, and I'm going to come down, and then I wet my brush. Now I'm wicking my brush. Maybe a little bit more blue right along that edge. Again, dry. Clean water. Let's add a little bit of yellow right down in this area. I feel like I have a little bit more of a glow going on there. Dry, water, water, wick. More yellow. Dry, water, water, wick, blend. Much better. Picking up some watery blue right along that edge, water, more water, wick, and blend. Maybe a little bit more gray dropped into this area. Some yellow. Water, blend, I wicked, blend. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to soften. Get some more water, lick it off. There we go, softened. Now back to my very, very small 2-aught, picking up some yellow. I'm going to go right along that edge. Let that yellow blend out. It's a little bit, it might be a little bit harder for you to see it until it dries. Pick up a tiny amount of that orange that I made. There, and look at how that edge now is just nicely softened. Let me zoom in a little bit. A little bit more yellow. Now let's come back over here. Get that kind of softened. Let me get my scrubber brush. Let's get rid of that line. Any of you that have watched me, I'm feeling so much more comfortable about all the little details. I used to kind of avoid doing too much because I thought nobody wants to see this. But you know what? If you don't want to see it, you can always go do something, right? Come back to it, fast forward. But it's all these little details that make a difference. I'm going to let all this kind of rest for a minute, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom out. Now, I think the background is looking really good. I am so very happy about it. But what I want to do is I want to get back to white in these areas. I want there to be the darkest darks and the lightest lights in these areas. So I'm going to grab my very, very big number 12 scrubber brush, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make almost an airbrushed look here. But first I'm going to go get some clean water, so I will be right back. I just thought I'd go to the background and just kind of take a break from the flower for a minute. And if you heard me, you may have missed me saying this yesterday, but it helps to move your eyes away from one place and focus on somewhere else. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I have a lot of water on this brush. I'm going to show you. It's like it can be dripping off. So lots of water. I'm going to start right here and very lightly. I mean, you can hear that I'm touching the paper, but can you see how the brushes aren't smashed? The brush fiber hairs aren't smashed down. Just very lightly, even more water. Bigger circle coming into a small circle. Okay, now I'm going to lift up all that water, and I can see that I've created a little bit of a highlight. Coming in smaller circles till I get to the center, and I scrub a little bit more. Now I want to get that water lifted up right away. Now, if you were to try to do this with an opaque color, what you would get is an edge. And this is why it is so important to get those colors to sink into the paper. When you've got your backgrounds and you need to pull out some highlights, you don't want to have the color sitting on the top of the paper. You want it to be sunken in so you don't have these awful edges. See how that almost, well, it does look airbrushed. So see how I pulled out a really, really nice highlight there. Now I can go some more. Yes, I'm pulling up paper, but my paper is still smooth. It doesn't look rough. Why? Because I'm using 300-pound paper. So now I'm going, not just, and it's not just about it being 300-pound paper. It's about it being professional, good, 100% cotton paper, archival. So it's not going to yellow later on down the road. There we go, just lifting up some color. Just very lightly kind of going around the edge so it's blended out really well. Now I'm going to come down into here, same thing. Now I'm going to kind of roam around a little bit. See, I'm just lightly moving my brush around. Again, I'm going to go through a small forest of paper towels. I wish I could put these in my compost, but yeah, I don't think my worms or my compost would appreciate paper towels with, you know, some heavy metals. But I try to conserve in other ways, so. And look at how the light is, you can really see it coming out. I'm going to go over even more. Now I'm pressing down a little bit harder. You can see I'm picking up more paper, just brushing it off. See how much better it looks with that little tiny bit of highlight. It's just much better. I actually want to come up into here a little bit. Maybe a little bit more up into here. You see how I just took out a hair just to kind of blend it, just to blend it out up into that direction. Where else do I need to go? I think I need to come over here a little bit. Let's come over here a little bit. Now I can't do a circle because I don't want to get into that edge, so I'm just going to kind of stroke it a little bit. And get rid of the water. And I'm going to put that one down, and I'm going to go to my number 6. And same thing. And I'm going to be a little bit more careful because the smaller your brush size on your scrubber brushes, the easier it is to press too hard. So be careful. And maybe maybe a little bit over in this area. Let's put a little highlight right there. Looks much better. I think I need to soften some areas right here. How wonderful is that you get to use those staining colors to your advantage. I just love that. I think that's just wonderful about staining colors. It's so sad that so many people are taught you know, you don't want to start with staining colors when you're painting, but that is exactly what you want to start with, because then you're using those to your advantage and you're not have to you won't be worrying about creating mud. Okay, back to my bigger scrubber brush. Let's gain that highlight back that's up there. Okay, I can't do my little circle. Okay. It's also helping me soften that tip of that petal so it's not so glaring. Ta-da! I like it. I'm pretty happy with that. How about maybe a little tiny highlight right up in here. Take it easy when you're first learning to do this. Try to get a feel for what your brush is going to do. In fact, a great way to practice backgrounds, just get a scrap piece of paper, soak it really well, throw those transparent staining colors on there, and then start practicing scrubbing. Look at, you can see that nice little highlight right in the center. Let's get all the paper off. And honestly, okay. Let's make sure there's no paper. Now, seriously, look at this, and you would have never known that I've scrubbed out those areas. I still have the texture. Yes, paper was coming up, but 300-pound paper is strong and tough, and it can take a ton of scrubbing. All right. I'm so happy with that background. That just turned out really well. Okay, let's go back under here now. Let's get that finished. And the very last thing I'm gonna do is, as soon as this dries, I'm gonna take off that, oh my God. I wish Shelby were here. I don't think she is, but whatever she called that little area, it is a combination between stamens, corda somethings, but anyhow, that little fun area. But now we've got to get all that done. So let's get that finished. What do I need? I need my number 2. Okay, I'm going to zoom back in. So before I do that, I honestly really hope that you buy some scrubber brushes. If you haven't, buy those brushes. They're just a game changer when you're painting. And if you don't think that you can create or correct a problem, I'm going to show you quickly a painting that I really had. I scrubbed out a whole area on a painting. Let me push this to the side. Move that over there. Let's move that over there. Let me zoom in. So here's one of my backgrounds. This area right here, in between, by the way, it's sold, but this is the painting I'm most proud of. I stare at it all the time. And I just hope one day I can achieve that again. And I don't do backgrounds a whole lot anymore because I'm so busy teaching, but okay. So here's what happened. Let me talk about, instead of praising myself, let me talk about what happened with this area. Okay, when I first originally did this, it was awful. So I basically scrubbed out everything all around this image. I completely scrubbed it out. I got it back to white. And then I used my spoon, same thing, and I pressed all the paper down, and that was it. And I wish I could zoom in more so you can really see how I took all those different sizes of scrubber brushes and built color back up and let it bleed in, and I scrubbed it out again, added more color. I'm really surprised I didn't completely scrub the paper fully away, but you know what? That is what 300-pound paper can do. That's what you can achieve. That whole background was completely scrubbed out, back to white, and I redid it. And I'm honestly, I was so proud of what I did there. I loved it. And then I sold it, and sometimes I wish I had have kept it because I was just proud of this whole thing. And I did this with Quinacridone Rose, Ultramarine Blue, and the Nickle Yellow. And that was it. Those 3 colors, and that's what I built this painting with. And I feel like it was just one of my best paintings. Okay, enough of that. Back to this. Let's zoom back out. Let me get myself organized again here. Let's get my color back. All right. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, now you can see that as that background's drying, might help a little bit. Look at that. I mean, I don't have one mark in there. There's no marks there. No marks there. And you always will hear people say, nope, can't correct mistakes. Yeah, watercolor's unforgiving. No, there's only so much you can do with the background. Well, you can do lots with the background, and you can do lots with that, with just those 3 colors. Let's see. Let me get my paintbrushes back in a row. All right. I'm pretty excited now to start under here. And let's see what's been going on in the chat. Shannon B, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you all don't have to do that, but wow, thank you. Oh, that was so sweet of you. You're such a kind person. Thank you so much. Wow, it was very nice of you. Thank you. That was really kind. Kind of lacking in words right now. Thank you. You know, sometimes I think you just find your path in life, and isn't it the best thing ever? And teaching just brings me so much joy, and I'm so glad you're all learning. And it's just a great feeling. Okay, enough with being wishy-washy here. Let's get that little area done. Okay, let's zoom in. Zoom in. Okay. Let's darken that up some. I think what I'm going to do is go over it with yellow again. Kind of dark yellow. You know what? I'm going to bring it all the way down into those leaves. Maybe even a little bit more. I didn't add fresh color this morning because we're not really doing giant washes. So we're mostly doing a lot of detail work. And by the way, this is for Shannon B. I hope that doing that on that background helped you a little bit. Now let's add some of that orange. And again, it's still pretty bright, but the only reason why I picked that orange up is because I could have picked the red up separately and the yellow, so I just grabbed that instead. It was just sitting right there. Now I'm going to pick up some blue. Here I made that nice, beautiful edge, and then I messed it all up. I'm going to go to an even smaller brush. And let's make... No, let me go back to my number 2 so I can actually mix this color. Ooh, we're really getting some rain now. I'm so excited. We need it. I don't know how much it's going to help the drought, but it's still a happy thing to hear red. Or to hear rain. More red. Darkening up this area. That's got to be much darker, so I might dry it now. Okay, let me stop and dry it, and then I can start filling in each area separately. Oh, I just see that somebody was asking me to zoom in on my silver white brushes, so here you go. These are the silver white. I'm not sure where all you can get them from. I get them from Dick Blick. They're very reasonable and they have super awesome points, and you can get them down to the wee smallest sizes. And again, when I'm done, when I've started to shred the tip, I just put it in my container for doing or using masking fluid. Ooh! Almost ruined that area that that I just scrubbed out. Okay, I feel like that's good. Going to my 0. Actually, this one is my 0, 0. I still can't find that 0. Wait, I think I just found it. I did. Whew. I can put that. I just had it in the wrong spot. All right. Let's see. Let's zoom back in. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of that gray that I made, and now I'm going to pick up some red, and a little bit more red. Okay, now I'm going to come over the edge of this leaf. Or no, it's not a leaf, I'm sorry. It's a petal. Just trying to get it as dark as I can. Look at how it's really pulling that petal forward. I left just a tiny, tiny bit of a light area so it won't look so flat. I'm going to add a little bit more of that shadow color. I'm going to add a little bit more red. More. I need more. Okay, now I'm going to come over this area with some more yellow. I'm going to try to avoid that highlight that's right on the side there. And I'm going to come in here, pick up some of that gray. I'm going to pick up a little bit more yellow. I'm going to pick up some red. So this is what happens when you think you have it completely dry and you don't. You'll get a little edge of, a little area that kind of where you can see it's bleeding through. If that happens, stop and dry it again, which is really what I kind of need to do. Let's get some blue over there. Okay, let's get that dry. I'll let that cool off. I'm going to take some yellow and come right over here and add yellow and some more blue. While I'm still waiting for it, I'm going to come over here, up the saturation just a little tiny bit in this area. And let's see, this needs a lot of yellow. I'm going to add some blue right into this stripe, kind of right around the edges. More red. We really need those dark areas. There's a lot of light values, so you really need those dark areas. Just going over this area, just getting a little bit darker. Needs to be a little bit darker right here. Just blending it in a little bit. Need to blow this up some so I can see what in the heck is in there. It's kind of a green, so let's get some more blue. There we go. Let's add some blue in here. Let's add a little bit more blue right along this area. Smooth it out into that background. And how about, let's pick up some of that burnt sienna and some more yellow. And let's see. Now we can move into finishing up this petal right here. I'm going to go to my number 2. I'm going to grab some of that blue and some of that gray. I'm just going to get that color in there. This is a small area, so I'm okay with just getting that shadow on there. Now let's add It wasn't blended out very well right there. Okay, now let's get some blues under here. Soften that line. This is the point in the painting where you really feel like as you're adding all these little details, everything's starting to just come together. At this point, you know how your colors are reacting with each other. You know what you need to do. You know how much of each color you can add. All of a sudden, everything just starts clicking. At least you hope. Blue down in here. Let's add some more red. Add some yellow. Let's add just a little bit more blue. A little tiny bit of a shadow right there. Let's add some more red right down into here. Let's see. Let's soften this little edge. Now I'm going to add some yellow there because, not that much yellow. Really look at the edges of the shadows on here, and you're going to see that you've got that a little bit of that glow, that yellow, because it's right, because those shadows are kind of grayish. So once I get this kind of, oh, you know what? Look, that's not even meeting up with that little edge. So let me add some more color right in there, kind of meet up with it. Actually, I probably came out right there a little bit too much. So let me just lift that color right back out of there. Okay, much better. So now what I'm going to do is again gonna go around and add yellow along the edges. These shadows. And the overall effect is going to give a nice little glow. But really, really look closely and you're going to see that. You're going to see that yellow. And then add in a little bit of orange here and there. Don't overdo it. Let's back out and look at it. See what's happening now with all these details that we're adding, and it's making a huge difference. Although, I'm going to use my scrubber brush. Let's get rid of this hard edge. I know it probably seems like I'm just roaming around, but I always do this at this point of time in my painting. I just start seeing all the little details, and I just keep moving around and moving around until I get them all. See, I was able to get out the pencil line and the hard edge of the color from the background. And it softened the petals. One thing that's nice about if you do decide to mask out the forward image is that the masking fluid will pick up those lines. But the problem with that is you have to draw your lines very dark, because once the masking fluid hits it, it picks it all up. So here you go and do all of this beautiful work on getting your lines just right, and then you put masking fluid on and it just picks them all up. And I know some artists will use fixative, workable fixative, but I don't care for that. Soften this edge a little bit more. Let me come from the inside. Now you can see why why it's so important to be very, very careful when you're going around the edge. all these little things that you can do to slow down. One of my problems is my eyesight is so bad anymore that I need to get really close. I need to get really up close to see well. And if I do that, all you're going to see is my head. Okay, where else? Right along here. Let's get... And actually, right along this petal, there's a white edge, so that's actually good. What else? Let's get rid of that line. Let's fix this a little bit more. Smooth it out. And I can see already I needed to add red to it. And look at this area. Let's get that nice and smooth it. Let's pull out a highlight right here. Sometimes you're going to need to make an area a little bit darker to really scrub those out. You know, let's soften. Let me turn this a little bit and soften that edge. Let's turn that back around. My gosh, what a huge difference that makes, right? Okay. While everything else is kind of drying, let's go ahead and look around. That's got to come off. We have to do that. Let's add some of these little let's get some of those little blemishes in there. Okay, so I'm going to put, I'm just putting some clean water down. Not too much. Okay, now I'm going to pick up some of this blue and orange. I just kind of made a little spot right there because this is going to be tiny. And now I'm grabbing, and I'm using my 2-aught brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of the yellow. Then I'm going to pick up some of that darker color right there, and I'm going to drop it right into the center. And see, it's so hard. I know it's harder to see, but instead of just doing this, I need a little blemish. Well, it's kind of a brown color. So here, I'm just going to put a little blemish. Well, all that does is look like a dot. You've got to have that water on there so it kind of blends that out just a bit. I have another tiny one there. And now that will blend. So now, as that as the paper dries, it'll blend out a little bit. And I just noticed an area up here where I need a little bit of a shadow. Not too much. Okay, now I'm going to come in here with very, very thin color. Just make some of these little vein areas, the red, just kind of wiggling my brush around. And going back and need some yellow. See how when all of a sudden you add yellow, it just changes everything. Now you know my secret to getting paintings that glow. You need to keep your yellow clean and you need to use it often. Now let's fix that shadow. Okay, so I'm going to go to my number 2, very watery. I'm going to come in here in this shadow mixture. I'm going to make sure it's watery. And while it, oh, you know what? Let's add some rose, some of that Quinacridone rose, because it's kind of a grayish, reddish color. Lots of water. Lots and lots of water. Now just a little bit of blue. Just spreading it out with clean water. A little bit more blue. Just a little bit more blue. Clean brush, or I'm sorry, wet brush. Just dipped in the water. A little bit more blue, very watery. Going to come right over into this area. Now I need to add some red into it. Now more rose. A little bit more. A little bit more. I'm going to come down into here and add more red. All right, so far so good. We're getting close. We're getting close. What do I need? Coming down into this little area and just adding a little bit more yellow. Whoops, you totally missed that. A little bit of yellow down there, some yellow down there. I need to finish that leaf. Let me back this out though. Let's back it out. Let's see how this is looking. Okay, I really love that. Let's add a little bit more yellow around it. Actually, let's add a little bit more of that orange right in the center of it. Let's see, let's add a little bit more to that little mark. Add a little bit of yellow around that. Is there anywhere else we have little marks? Oh, right in there. Let's get that one finished. Okay. Yes, I didn't add water, but I had started that mark a couple of days ago. So it was already kind of there, but I should have hit that first with some water. Oh, and up here, let's same thing up here. Let's add some more yellow. Let's pick up some red. Go around this little doodad right there. To make that little spot a little bit darker. That really makes a huge difference when you have a lot of light areas and then you can throw in some little darker spots. Let's I'm adding a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to add a little bit of red to the shadow right here. See how much better that looks? Now that I'm just upping the saturation, I'm just looking around going, where does it need to be darker? Maybe a little bit more right along that edge. There, okay. A little bit more right there. Let's get this a little bit more blue right in that area right there. Okay, getting close. Have to do the stems, and let me dry it. And then I'm going to go in and get right underneath that edge, and then I'll pull the masking fluid off. And as soon as that shadow dries, I'm going to edge it with the yellow. I'm not very happy with this area right in here, so I'm going to drop more yellow in there. And I'm going to fix that with a little bit of red. Not too much longer, we're getting there. Okay, let's I need my little rubber tool. Just give me a sec here. Oh no, where is it? There it is. You know, maybe a little bit of my problem might be that this is not dark yet, right? Is that we haven't built the color yet in that little spot. So maybe instead of going around and fixing anything else I'm seeing, let's get that little guy finished up. All right. I think that might be what my problem was. It's because when you look at the image, I mean, your eye goes right to that little stamen. Okay, first thing, yellow. Ooh, whoops. Let's see. There we go. Now I could get nitpicky and just spend hours on that, but I'm not going to. If I lose any tiny highlights, then we're getting out that Dremel tool. It's kind of pretty how the tips just kind of curl over. You know, it looks like a mini pineapple, doesn't it? Lots of yellow. Weird, but I think there's actually something on there. I don't know, that's a little bug that had crawled in that flower. I'm not really sure, but okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. Now I'm gonna come down into the leaf. Let's get that leaf finished. So let's make up some green. Oh, I just contaminated my yellow. Well, we're in the home stretch. Ah, it's not good. Use my 0. So I'm just going back and forth between a little bit more blue, a little bit more yellow, a little bit more green. Kind of going up into the red. Kind of blend it out a little bit. You don't really need, you know, I wouldn't bother. I'm not going to bother. You know, I may later might come back to it and add in those little lines if we've got some time. I want to get this done today. 'Cause I know I'm not, I know I'm not going to be able to see later on. And this weekend, it's only going to be for a few hours, but I'm so excited about this. I'm going to go to our local library and I'm going to teach, I think, a bunch of 10-year-olds. And we're going to do, like, you know, mythical creatures. And I'm bringing all the supplies. And I'm so excited about that. It's so fun teaching little kids. They're just so open to everything. And then instead of getting paid for it, I want to donate and make sure that they have plenty of good supplies at the library. I'm always so happy about what the libraries provide for our young people in our community. They do all kinds of things and it's wonderful. Okay, I can kind of see in this area we need a little bit more red. Again, I'm not going to do too much on there, because I want to get back to, that's still a little wet. So while that's wet, let's fix this little area here. Get some red, very watery red. Maybe a little bit of the violet. Let's drop some more in there. Just building up that edge a little bit more. Just added in a little bit of yellow. Okay, now I'm going to put that down. Going to smooth out that shadow edge a little bit. Now I'm going to pick up some clean yellow. Let's drop it right around that edge. Now let's back up. It's getting there. There is definitely not enough value down in this area. So let's add some more. Let's actually pick up some blue to tone it down a little bit because it's obviously in shadow. That looks much better. Now let me address that little area right under that edge. Oh, and you know what? I just noticed this. Okay, very wet brush. It has a little bit of color on it. Just not enough. And then it kind of comes down into there. Now I can go ahead and pick up Pick up a little bit more. I have some yellow, red, and blue on my brush. We just need to define that just a little bit more. Just kind of blending it out. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more yellow right under that little area. Maybe a tiny bit of red right there. Okay, now a little bit of that grayish blue. Just picked up a little bit of yellow, maybe just a tiny bit more. That blue right under that edge. Just kind of streak it into that. That looks better. Let's see, I'm just kind of looking around. Maybe add, drop of yellow right in there and just a little tiny bit of blue. This needs some work. Okay, I'm wetting this very lightly. And I'm going to pick up some of this reddish gray. And I'm going to pick up some red. And then some thicker red. Go right around that edge, pick up some yellow. And blend it out into this little shadow there. Let's back it out some more. What I think, so I'm going to drop a little bit more yellow right in here. A little bit more yellow right there. Added a little yellow in there. I need a little bit more red. Too thin. Some blue. A little bit more blue. Can you see how as I keep adding, I add a little bit more, going over. Now, what I really want to do is, there's not enough, I just now saw that. Obviously there's not enough red. So let me get my bigger brush. Just right on that dry paper, just up into that shadow. Okay, better. Now a little bit of yellow right down in there. All right, back to that that little guy. So far, so good. I'm pretty happy with this. All right. Ooh, we're almost done. I need a little bit more red in this little area and right in there. All right. Boy, this is a pretty, it's a pretty complicated little area, so I'm just gonna do some basic. Oh, there's actually green in there too, so let's get some greens in there. Now let's go over that with some of those oranges. Let's make it a little bit. If you want to spend a lot of time on this little area, you certainly can. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to. I feel like at this point, the values are going to be, dang it, much more important. Let's back that out. Wish I hadn't have done that. I kept trying to fix it and it wasn't working, so give me a sec. Let's get that where it should be, flat. Much better. Very, very small brush again. I'm trying to stay away from that edge so I don't screw that up. But I'm not going to put that weird dark shape in that giant dark shape. I'm going to try to stay away from doing that. But now that I've put that in there, I think it's looking much better. A gamatophyte? Is that what she'll be called this? Oh. Is that some yellow? And what I'm going to do is we're going to dry that, and I am actually going to pick out, if you look at it, it's pretty cool because it has, you know, some of the forward folding little tips are kind of like a whitish yellow. So I want to get those back in there. And of course, there's no way that I'm going to scrub that out. So I'm going to use my Dremel tool, and I'm going to make sure, yep, it's still charged. So while that's drying, so my Dremel tool, a lot of you have gone out and bought these because they're, well, they're wonderful. And, wait, let me put that tip back in. There we go. I want to pull out some of the highlights right in that branch. So I'm going to put it on real low, maybe 10. And I'm going to fix some of these areas. I would, if you're using 140 pound, I would not suggest doing this. What this is great for is, you know, you have all those fuzzy areas. Let me zoom in a little bit more. All the little fuzzy areas around leaves or the buds. That's what this works great for. Kind of getting those little highlights right around the edge, all those things that I kind of lost. And then just kind of cleaning up. The edge of the branch. There's a little one right there. Let's look at how it completely brightens that up. And then that little area that I was so upset about because I lost that little highlight. This tip is great because it's just like a little sanding tip. I'm going to turn this at an angle. Some more of that little bud area. And right down in there. And then this little area where I lost some highlight. Look how I got that back. Right in there. A little bit right in there. Let's get that little spot a little bit brighter. Lost a little bit right in here. Isn't that so much fun? Get the tip right there back. there. Ooh. Just a little bit of highlight there. Oh, let's see, where else? Oh, right here. Where else? Ooh, a little part right here. Now let's go back to this area. Now look how it makes it look like that's backlit. And there's like there's some little hairs right along this edge too of this bud. Let's fix this branch a little bit. And I never did really work on that upper branch, did I? So I'll probably fix that a little bit. Let's see. Let's get that little edge. Whoops. Actually, I'm going to stop it and I'm going to change my tip. I actually got a bunch of fun new tips at the store, although I don't need to use them now. But look at that one. Isn't that great? It's nice and round. It's a sanding tip. Boy, if you really wanted to pick up some interesting little anything, that would be a great one to use. Let's see. Which one am I going to use though? Because I want to get those little tiny. If I can find it. There it is. Now I'm just going back to that one. Okay. Here we go. Putting that one back in. I don't know if that's going to be too big. Uh-oh, I'm running out of battery. That's bad. Okay, let's see. Yay! Okay, and there was one right there. And then I can add a little bit of yellow back in them. And then one right down here. One right there. Isn't that cute? Look at how it just put them right back in there. Okay, so now, oh, back to my spoon. Let's get my spoon. flatten it out. Okay. Now we'll just add just a touch of some yellow that's kind of dirty. And then to just touch those little spots and it just toned them down a little bit. And now it looks like I have my little front. Okay, let's I'm pretty happy with this. Let's wipe off all of that dust from the paper. Maybe a couple more things. You know, there's just some little tiny things here and there. We definitely need a little bit more along that leaf. Let's get it right along there. Isn't that great? Look at that, how you've got those little edges of, it kind of looks furry. In fact, let's get a few more in there. This tip is actually really good for making those really fine areas that look fluffy. Now, it's almost like you've got a little glow around the bud. How fun is that, right? Think outside of the box. Okay, there, wow, look at that. Doesn't that look great? Now we can come over in here, fix this little area. This was such a smaller area. I thought it would be better to use this little tip. Oh, and look right along this edge here. Now that whole branch looks like it's lit from behind. Very cool, right? Anywhere else? I think I got that. I think I've got most of it. Really do. Let's see. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit more. Ah, don't you just love that? So it all looks really fuzzy. And now that really, really dark value is really making those little white spots just come forward. And you can see where I've pulled it out right along those edges. So I'm pretty happy with this. I feel like, though, honestly, I need to go over right here and just get those a little bit darker, and I feel like I need a little bit more blue. I'm so happy with that. You know, I'm sure I could sit here and fuss with it for a while, and maybe I will fix these little veins that are coming out from this little area right there. But for the most part, okay, I'm going to stop for a second, let you look and see what you think. Oh my gosh, Loretta, thank you. That was so sweet of you. Oh, wow. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Oh, and Shannon and Loretta. Yeah, doesn't the fuzz look great? Really, that is just, it's so much fun. I think I can add just a little bit more, actually. Now it's really high. I'm starting to run out of battery. There we go. Just a little bit more. And, okay, last thing. Let me go up and just fix that branch a little bit because it just looks too dark. So here's what I need to do. I'm going to take some of my red, I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to go right over the top of it. It's going to be hard for you to see how it changed the tone. And now some yellow. And this little green bud. I love it when you get in the home stretch and there's just a few little things you need to do here and there. How fun is that? Could have done a little bit better on the on that little bud, and hopefully you do. But this time I'll just use a scrubber brush and kind of soften it right here. Maybe one last thing, maybe some of the gray, a little bit of red. That didn't turn out well. Well, that didn't turn out perfect, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna call this done. What does everyone think? Let's add a little bit more dark right in there. There we go. All right, I think I am going to call this done. Let's move all this out of the way. I'm pretty happy with this. I really am. So if you've got any thoughts, let me know. Let's see. Nothing yet, but okay. So I think what I'm gonna do is switch to the front. Okay, I'm gonna hold it up this way. Woohoo! Okay, you have to really admit, I mean, look at the fuzz. That just really brings it forward. It really does. So I think that we've got really good, super dark values, and look at how those beautiful, the highlights are. So that is what makes it really, really show through. We got all these beautiful light colors, and we have all those just gorgeous darks, and it looks so dramatic too when you've got the whites against the really dark darks. So I think I'm so very happy with this. Glad to finally be done, but I'm very happy. I think this has been one of my best live stream tutorials so far. I don't know, just felt very comfortable today, everybody. So I hope that I want to see everybody's painting. So please, please post it. You know, that's big. I just really think it's important that even if you have to do it a couple of times, it's okay. I can help you. Let me know if you need something, and I'll help walk you through it. But really, probably all you need to do is just watch these hours and hours of videos. When I can figure it out, I can actually timestamp certain things. Just that, I think that would actually take another person kind of going through and adding all the timestamps on where everything is. But yeah. So thank you, Loretta, Claudette. Oh, I'm glad you're liking it. And thank you, Shannon. And Jojo. Yes, I will post the final picture here in a little bit. I think what I'll probably do is I'm going to go eat, and then I'll go ahead and get it posted. And really, everybody, keep working on it. Just pay attention, honestly. Just go back and forth always. You saw me, you heard me. Yellow, blue, red, yellow, blue, red. Just back and forth, back and forth. And I don't think I did it last night, but I will post the separations that I made. I will get the separations on there, and that way you can look at them, you can download them, you can keep them next to you to see, you know, do you have enough red? Do you have enough blue? Do you have enough yellow? So I'll go ahead and get those put up on the downloads if I didn't already. And let's see. Jeannie says, thank you for your tutorials. Thank you for watching. And Mary, I agree. This is one of the best live shows, although I miss the Zoom gatherings. I'm not going to stop doing Zooms. I love the Zooms too. But now that my equipment is all working better, wasn't it nice that there wasn't any pausing? And it's so much easier for me to use Minicam than the OBS, so not so much tech. They make this program more for teachers, so I think that helped a lot today. Yeah, I just felt really good doing this. Yeah. Shannon, probably my favorite. I'm so glad. And Mary, oh, you're very welcome. Wow, thank you everybody. And the last thing I want to say, and I'm going to probably say this a lot, I don't like to get mushy. You all really helped me a lot by being so positive and so supportive, and, you know, Shannon being there to help answer questions, and Mary, your great suggestions and your affinity photo too that helped me make the separation. So I've never been really good at asking for help, so it's been very wonderful how supportive everybody has been. This has been a great experience, and I feel like from this point on, it's just going to get better and better, and I'm going to have even better tutorials, and whether or not they're going to be the live streams or the Zooms or just the video on demands where I'm just filming a video and then you can watch it whenever you want. So I'm pretty excited about all the things I have upcoming. So, and let's see, Claudette, I'm getting there and happy with what I'm learning. Just take me to go at a slower pace. Thank you so much for your time. You are so welcome. And remember, there's, you know, sometimes it's just watching a couple of times and then rewatching, pause, then you can finish that little area, pause again and finish. So yeah, it's there's all different ways to learn. And so, all right, everybody. Wow, thank you all. And I'm so glad that this turned out so well. So one more time, face forward. Look at how vibrant that is. All from those three colors. It's just beautiful. I'm very happy. And okay, so I'm gonna let I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream and get something to eat. And then for the rest of the day, until I have to go to my eye appointment, I will, oh, Claudette, thank you. I'm not going to get, I'm going to try not to get emotional, but, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words and your wonderful support. Thank you. That means a lot to me, really, it does. And I hate getting emotional, especially because now everybody's gonna watch this and see me getting emotional. But I have come so far from the very beginning wanting to throw everything down and just go, I give up, I can't teach. This is just so hard. This has been really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I will be streaming again soon. I'm getting everything figured out, what's going to be my next one. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to let you go. Have a great rest of the day. And as soon as I get back from the doctors, if I can see, I'll answer any questions that come up. But if I don't, you're going to know why. So, all right. Jojo, who is cutting onions here? Yes, somebody's cutting onions in the room. My goodness, please stop. They just make my eyes crazy. Mary, please don't give up. I'm not. I feel really good this year. I've learned so much, and I'm so happy to... I know you have to hear me ranting sometimes about my struggles with the technology, but it's all good, and thank you, everybody, for your support. So, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and thanks, everybody, and Mary, and Claudette, and Shannon, Loretta, and Jojo. Thanks, everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream now. Bye.